Delighted to be able to join with all of you today. And I want to say a thank you to the American Economic Liberties Project, organizing the panel, and really helping to shine a light on what is a growing need for a 21st century approach to trade, that one recognizes the missteps of the past, but also is identifying a strategy for us for the future. Joined today by Thea Lee, Deputy Undersecretary of Labor for International Affairs, the U.S. Department of Labor, Scott Paul, President of the Alliance for American Manufacturing, and the indomitable Lori Wallach, Director of Rethink Trade for the American Economic Liberties Project. And I might just say that Lori talked about our journey with TPP, but the gang's all here when we embarked on that effort, and also the renegotiated NAFTA agreement. I find it hard to say the USMCA, so I talk about it as the renegotiated NAFTA agreement. These folks are really public intellectuals. They have a long, long history of addressing this issue, but all trade issues. And we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts, how we can, in fact, advance a more progressive, a more worker-centered trade policy for this country. Let me just say a few words, if I can, about how I view this issue. This is an issue that's really near and dear to my heart. And I've staked my career on it in many ways. And Laurie mentioned this. I fought and helped organize in the Congress the opposition against the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. Because I saw how what the earlier trade deals did, how they hollowed out the American middle class, our manufacturing capacity. I watched shuttered factories in my own district, weakened communities, et cetera, across this country. And TPP would have tilted the balance in favor of massive corporations even further, allowing them to set the rules for themselves, creating a race to the bottom on wages, environmental standards, and consumer protection. And let me just say that it was no easy road to be up against the full strength of the administration. But a collective effort, an effort that was so needed and undertaken by this group of people, and some who are here, in the audience, and we succeeded at doing that. I recognize, as I believe we all do, the value of international trade. I think, its role in both increasing our prosperity for working people, protecting global stability, but it has to be done right with purpose and with forethought. When you get self-interested corporations, they should not be allowed to write all of the rules. And Laurie pointed out, yes, they should be allowed to do all the rules. I worked with the Trump administration to rewrite the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Look, I'm prepared to work with anyone who will come to the table with serious ideas of how to conduct trade while we protect American jobs and our ability to maintain high-skilled labor and talent. The fight has always been about corporate power. When corporations run amok, as they did in the 1990s, when what they did was they latched onto a strategy of using trade negotiations to lock in the rules to protect themselves, expand their power while limiting government oversight. They pushed for investor protection. They made it easier to deal with offshoring, and they shot down any of the provisions that would allow us for stronger labor standards. And it was limiting government oversight, and at every step of the way, who lost here was the middle class and workers. They lost at every turn. And the companies used the negotiations to craft the rules that limit competition. And look, the restricting generic drug competition to protect the pharmaceutical patents. And they were counting on, which has changed, and we'll get to talking about that, lax antitrust enforcement that cannot compete with the power of increasingly consolidated corporations and the legal defense teams that they had put together. But what's the good news? Finally, I believe we are at a turning point on trade and antitrust. We have the best chance in decades to really try to make significant changes to how we conduct our policy today. And our corporate power, it's both home and abroad. You know, I think the Biden administration has empowered our trade and antitrust officials. Look, FTC Chair Lena Khan, what a hell of a job she is doing at this, and it's a pleasure to work with her. Assistant Attorney General Jonathan Kantner at the Department of Justice. Yes, you know, this is advancing bold worker-focused strategies rather than a corporate one. Utilizing the rapid response mechanism that we fought for in the renegotiated NAFTA agreement to hold trading partners accountable for labor violations. You know, and this has recently been used to remedy violations of labor law at facilities in Mexico that are manufacturing products as wide-ranging as garments, automobiles, rubber. They have also gone after some of the largest tech monopolies who are serial abusers of U.S. digital trade policy, applied targeted tariffs to combat Chinese product dumping strategies on crucial areas of clean energy technologies. You know, the administration, 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles that are undercutting American manufacturers and workers. So after years of skyrocketing corporate profits gained from the global race to the bottom on trade, I believe we are finally seeing momentum, and that is starting to shift. People are realizing that we have more tools at our disposal to fight the trend than we thought, and international corporations are not immune to the law. From outbound investment screening to closing the custom loopholes, Earl Blumenauer and de minimis, you know, fighting to keep drugs like fentanyl out of the country. So there are opportunities ahead. We're going to review the renegotiated NAFTA agreement in 2006. How will it better help us to rethink bringing workers and consumers, small business, and environment to the center of our agreements? We have to continually raise the bar. What we mostly have to do is that we have to make it clear to the most profitable American consumer markets that it requires more from them than bare minimum of social responsibility. It is a bare minimum, no longer good enough. So, and finally, we must reimagine how the deals are negotiated. In the past, we went crazy during TPP with the secrecy around the negotiations, terrible fast-track procedures, hundreds of corporate lobbyists, executives in the room, while labor unions, climate advocates, consumer watchdogs on the sideline. If we want our trade deals to reflect the needs and the interests of the American people, then they must have a seat at the table. And just make two comments about they need to be in the room where it happens, and if you are not at the table, you're on the menu. So we need to really understand that. Trade is good, but like any good thing, without guardrails, it is disastrous. I look forward to a new era of trade policy that recognizes this fact, puts people, not corporations, in charge of our vision. And now I've gone on long enough for you to hear from me, but we need to hear from the experts here who are arrayed today.